I'd like to welcome everyone to the 2015 Peregrine Falcon event. Thank you all. So again, I'd like to welcome you all to the 2015 Peregrine Falcon banding event. My name is Ann Devine, and I'm an environmental educator here at DEP. And we're here in the Rachel Carson office building in Harrisburg, where peregrines have lived on the 15th floor of the building for the last 15 years. And you can see from the poster where they live. Every year, DEP partners with the Pennsylvania Game Commission to host this annual banding event along with a teacher workshop. So at the workshop that we have in April, the teachers are invited to bring their students to the banding, and we have some of these teachers and students with us today. I'd also like to thank the viewers who are watching us over the live webcast this afternoon. So some of our schools that are with us today include our first graders here on the floor from St. Teresa Catholic School. We also have Harrisburg Academy from 4th grade. Come on, let's hear it. We have the Morrisville Intermediate School, their science symposium team. So we have 8th and 9th graders, Morrisville. We also have the homeschooling through literature at the Collinsville Community Library. Come on, let's hear it. So I'd also like to recognize with us today, we have Shavers Creek Environmental Center. We have our Falcon Watch and Rescue volunteers. And last but not least, we have our interns for the summer, Tad Alexander and Megan Greenplate. So today what will be happening is we will be weighing, banding, and examining the 3 falcon nestlings from the ledge. Zoo America, Patrick Miller from Zoo America will be doing a live program on adaptations with 2 live falcons, and then we'll have time for some questions and answers, so be sure you think of some good ones. Maybe you can stump them. So I'd also like to encourage you to mark your calendars for next year's event, which will take place around May 21st, and this is based on the past hatch dates. And we also ask you to remain seated for the entire program because it is a live webcast to make sure that we have good quality for our viewers. So I now have the pleasure of introducing Acting Secretary John Quigley of the Department of Environmental Protection. So please join me in welcoming Secretary Quigley.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Rachel Carson State Office Building. I want to welcome as well the folks who are joining us on the internet for this broadcast. As you'll see in just a few minutes, today we're going to get a rare up-close look at 3 young falcons. These beautiful birds have a lot to teach us about our environment and the importance of protecting it. They teach us about our environmental history, about biodiversity, wildlife conservation, and the importance of preserving our natural world. DEP, in partnership with the Pennsylvania Game Commission, the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, and the Commonwealth Media Services, are proud to bring you this special webcast. Each year, more and more people from around the world watch as these falcons go through their stages of courting, laying eggs, hatching, and fledging. We're proud to offer this learning opportunity for all of us to share a special connection with these magnificent birds. Today, you'll learn about the importance of banding the falcons and how that lets us keep tabs on them once they leave the nest. Because of the bands on their legs, we know that the mama bird of these babies came from a nest on the Pennsylvania-New Jersey Turnpike Bridge in Bucks County in 2009 and has been here at the Rachel Carson Building for 3 years. The papa falcon came from a nest on the Walt Whitman Bridge in Philadelphia in 2003, and he's been here for 10 years, longer than I have. As I mentioned, we're gathered in the Rachel Carson Building, and that's so appropriate for today's banding. Rachel Carson wrote a seminal book called Silent Spring that exposed the dangers of using poisons and chemicals, and especially DDT, and the damage that they can do to the environment and all the creatures that live in it, including us. Rachel Carson's writing and work brought about the change in the basic environmental protection laws that were necessary to successfully reintroduce falcons to their historic range and to protect them and all of us. Every species plays an important role in the natural world. These beautiful young falcons that we're privileged to see today are important. We're linked to them. And what they teach us today in a special way is important. We're all part of the web of life. And we all have a responsibility to care for these birds and for the natural world. We all need each other. Every one of us can help wildlife by enhancing habitat, by planting native plants and flowers in your yard, planting trees, using household products with care, and by joining environmental and conservation groups, and by respecting and treasuring wildlife. We hope you enjoy this up-close glimpse of these young birds today, and we encourage you to continue to track their progress online in the next several weeks as they begin to take flight and eventually leave the nest. Most importantly, we hope you'll remember what they teach all of us. Now it's my privilege to introduce a great leader in conservation of Pennsylvania's natural resources, my friend and Pennsylvania's Acting Secretary of Conservation and Natural Resources, Cindy Dunn.
Thank you, Secretary Quigley. I'm so happy to be included in this falcon banding. This is the first time DCNR has been involved here, and we're very happy to be part of it. So I just want to talk a little bit about what does a peregrine falcon need and what do you need? The parts of habitat that are so important for animals and for us are food, water, and shelter. So if you're this peregrine falcon, your shelter is the Rachel Carson building, where Ann Devine pointed out, this ledge on the Rachel Carson building. Water, maybe it's the Susquehanna River. That's the world of DEP, keeping the water clean. And as Secretary Quigley mentioned, the groundbreaking work of Rachel Carson in getting certain poisons out of the water made it critical for bird species like the peregrine and like the bald eagle to have a big comeback in Pennsylvania. Habitat and food, that's the world of DCNR and the Pennsylvania Game Commission, whose executive director will be our next speaker. Food for a peregrine falcon, it's flying birds. It can be a pigeon, it can be a flicker, it can be a duck, it can be something, maybe a bird in your backyard. They catch their prey in flight. If it's a bald eagle, it's a fish in the Susquehanna perhaps, or in the Conneaut de Gwinnett, or one of the nearby streams where all of you live. So it takes natural resource agencies and environmental agencies all working together to provide this habitat, food, and clean water. And I think that in DCNR's case, we're proud to say we take great care of 2.2 million acres of state forest land, home to many birds, many songbirds, many plants and important plants that are food for the birds and other things in the food chain. We have 120 state parks where you can go and learn about these great animals and habitat, conservation, etc. And as Secretary Quigley mentioned, you can provide great habitat in your own backyard, and if you provide the right food, the right shelter, you will get species in your yard that you're expecting to get, whether it be butterflies or birds. The peregrines teach us a great lesson about the things that creatures need to survive. And I think by seeing them, observing them, and being part of this remarkable comeback, you're part of a great restoration of a species. And DCNR, we're proud to say we do have 2 pairs nesting on state parks in the eastern part of the state. And we're not saying too much about where they are because obviously a recovering endangered species needs a lot of privacy. But with that, I will turn it over to our colleague in conservation, Matt Ho, the executive director of the Pennsylvania Game Commission, who has jurisdictional responsibility for all the birds in Pennsylvania. Mr. Ho.
Thanks, Cindy. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is a great day for wildlife in Pennsylvania. And you may ask, why is it such a great day for wildlife? Well, I can tell you a couple different reasons. First of all, and the reason we're all here, is it's a great day for the peregrine falcon. Not too many years ago, the peregrine falcon had disappeared from Pennsylvania. And when the first pair nested here at the Rachel Carson State Office Building, there was only 9 peregrine falcon nests to be known in Pennsylvania. Last year, we knew of 43. So in 2014, only a little over 15 years later, we know of 43 different peregrine nests. So it's a great day for the peregrine. Another reason this is a great day is because this shows what positive things can happen when you have cooperation between state agencies. And in this case, we have the Department of Environmental Protection, the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, and the Pennsylvania Game Commission, and all our partners are working together to restore wildlife in Pennsylvania. So that's the second reason that this is a great day. And the third reason is probably the most important, and that's because all of you are here. And you say, well, why is that important? Well, it's important because you all have an interest in wildlife, or you wouldn't be here, and you want to learn more about wildlife. And as the future decision makers on wildlife and the environment in Pennsylvania, you are the ones that are going to be making those decisions in a few years. So the more you know, the more you learn, the better off wildlife will be. So I want to thank all of you for spending this great day with us. And just remember that the peregrine falcon is only one of 480 different species of birds and mammals that the Game Commission manages. So thank you very much, and have a great day.
Thank you all for those wonderful comments. So I'm now going to introduce the banding team and turn it over to the stars of the show here. So we have with us today Art McMorris. He's the Pennsylvania Peregrine Falcon Program Coordinator with the Game Commission. We have Scott Bills, who is retired from a retired land manager also from the Game Commission. Cheryl Miller-Latch, she's one of our Falcon volunteers. She works here at DEP. And we have Lane Griffithton, who's an 8th grader from Morrisville Intermediate School from their Science Symposium team. All right, so after the falcons are weighed and examined and banded, Cheryl and Lane will be recording the band information, so I'll turn it over to Art.
Well, thank you very much, Ann, and I'd like to thank Secretaries Quigley and Dunn and Executive Director Ho for your very nice opening remarks. Ann, I'd like to point out one error that you just made. You introduced us as the stars of the show. The stars of the show are actually behind us in a couple of cardboard boxes, and they are the young peregrine falcon chicks. As you have heard, there were 3 peregrine falcon nestlings here this year. Actually, 4 eggs were laid. 1 did not hatch, which is completely normal. This often happens that 1 egg just doesn't develop and doesn't hatch. So there are 3 youngsters. 1 of them we've already banded and put back on the ledge upstairs so that Mom and Dad won't be running around saying, "Where are our kids?" And peregrine falcons aren't very good at arithmetic. So when they see one of their chicks and they say, "Okay, we've got our babies," and they're happy. So let's start with the first one. And this is going to be noisy because as soon as I take the lid off the box, when birds in general are in the dark, then that makes them kind of relaxed and placid. As soon as I take the lid off, you can expect to hear a lot of screeching. And this is its alarm call. It's not because we're hurting it. It's because it doesn't know what's going on. And so it's saying, "I don't like this, and I want Mom and Dad and my siblings to know that I don't like this." So I'm just going to talk as I work, and if you can hear me above the screens, that's great, and if you can't, well, that's the way it goes. So here's bird number 1. This is, there, that's her alarm call. See, I'm not even touching her, but she's saying, "I don't like this." These chicks, because of the cameras that GEP has provided, we know exactly when the eggs were laid and when they hatched. So we know that one of these birds, the 2 of these birds are 30 days old and 1 is 28 days old. And I can tell by looking at this bird that it's a female. There are many different ways we can tell. Just her sheer size tells me that she's a female. She is just as big as her parents right now. Were you as big as your parents when you were 30 days old? I don't think so. These birds grow incredibly fast. I'm going to weigh her just to confirm by her weight that she's a female. And we can tell by weight at this age. She is 900 grams, 900. So Lane, if you could write that down. This is bird number 2 because we've already done bird number 1 upstairs. Now the females are larger than the males. This is true for falcons and hawks and owls. It's important to know the sex because the females, being larger, get a larger band. We wouldn't want to put a band that's too small on the bird. That would not be good. So now I'm going to give this bird a brief health check. Okay, and there are actually 3 reasons why we ban the birds. One of them is obvious, to ban them. Another is because of what I'm about to do. It gives us an opportunity to give health checks to the birds to make sure they're healthy. And if there are health issues, we can deal with health issues right on the spot. If there are really serious health issues, we can take it to a qualified wildlife rehabilitator for further medical treatment. So that's reason number 2. And reason number 3 is to find out what's happening at the nest. Here you can watch these birds on camera, but that's not true on cliff ledges or in recesses on bridges and so forth. From many of our nests, we don't know what's happening. We don't know whether they have babies. We don't know how many until we actually go there to see. So that's a 3rd reason. Okay, I'm going to hand this bird to Officer Bills. And the first thing I'm going to check is her mouth. And I'm looking for evidence of a disease called trichomoniasis. Okay? And her mouth is nice and clean. That's what we like to see. Trichomoniasis is a parasitic disease that they can get that is almost always fatal at this age. And we're prepared to give it antibiotics if it has trich, but it does not. And that's what we like to see. Her eyes are nice and clean. Okay, they're good. That's evidence of good health. I'm going to check her ears. Sometimes they get parasites in their ears. That's pretty disgusting. But if they have parasites in their ears, we can take those out. And her ears are nice and clean. I'm going to check the development of her flight muscles. And that's good. I could tell that by her weight. I'm going to check her for what we call ectoparasites, which means parasites on the outside. Okay? They can have blood-sucking flies, and that's not good. They can have lice, which suck blood, and that's not good. They can have mice that actually eat feathers, and that's not good. I don't see any of that on her. If we saw that, we would treat them with something to kill those parasites. I'm going to look at her feet. Her feet are well developed. Now I'm going to do something really embarrassing. I'm going to check her vent, her rear end. Okay? Because sometimes they get parasites in there, and that's really disgusting, isn't it? But if she had parasites there, then we would get rid of those for her. And she's nice and clean. That's what we like to see. Okay. Now, I can tell by her weight that she's a female. I can tell by her size and by her head that she's a female. But I'm going to do another thing. This is a leg gauge, so I can measure her leg. And the females have larger legs than the males. Thank you for biting me. And this is just another check. And yes, she needs a size 7A band. That's the size band that the females get. And that's why it's especially important to get the sex right so we can give them the right size band. Okay.
This is the smaller of the two, is it not?
I'm sorry?
This is the smaller of the two that we have in here, is it not?
No, that's the larger of the two.
Good.
We were looking at these birds before. We were looking at them on camera, in fact, and I thought, and others thought, that we had 2 girls and a boy. But we don't. We have two big girls and a smaller girl. Or I should say a not quite so big girl. So Lane and Cheryl, I'm going to show you this band, if you could just write down the number. It's the next one in sequence, 89. Okay, you got that? 1947. 07089. That's the big numbers. 07089. You got that? Yes, this is going on the right leg.
You're being a big show for everybody, aren't you?
Yeah.
Big show. She wants a piece of my chin like in the worst way.
This is the oldest that we like to band Peregrine Falcon chicks. The best time to band them is when they're between 20 and 30 days old. When they're 20 days old, they're smaller than this, but more important than that, for our convenience and mostly for their welfare, is that they are more placid. When you go to approach them, they just kind of sit there and you can pick them up. So we finished up bird number 2 just so that we could get her back in the box and calm down. We didn't want her to be upset for too long. And now we can continue with bird number 3. And I've told you the 3 reasons. Oh, this is Big Girl.
Yeah.
Oh, we did your little sister. And I'm using little.
Oh, man.
Okay, big sister. Here we come, Miss Big Sister. Here she is. There's that big bird. And look at how she can turn her head all the way around. So this is bird number 3. I can tell by her size, by the size of her feet and legs, that this is another female. Did any of you see Jurassic Park? Do you remember the big claws on the velociraptor? The big lethal claws? Look at her claws. Birds are actually descended from dinosaurs. They actually evolved from dinosaurs. It sounds amazing, but it's true. So you're looking at something that is like the velociraptor claws. So let's put her in here. Now this is little girl. She is 855 grams. 855. Okay, little girl. You're too big to call you little girl, aren't you? Okay. There you go.
Okay.
I'm handing her to Officer Bills.
Got her. Oh, yeah.
He's retired, but he's still officer.
All right.
And let's look in your mouth.
Your feet.
Yeah,
Look at
right.
your feet. Look at your feet. Okay.
Their feet are their weapons. That's what they use to defend themselves, and that's what they use to catch their prey. They only use their bill to tear it up and eat it. They don't catch it or kill it with their beak. Well, actually, they do kill it with their beak. I take that back. And her mouth is nice and clean. I like that. No trichomoniasis. Trichomoniasis is a very nasty disease. So her mouth is good. It's nice and clean. Her eyes are good. Okay, they developed well, no deformities, and they're nice and bright. So I know that she's not dehydrated, which can happen on a hot day. And this is not a hot day. I'm looking and feeling her ears, and I'm finding no parasites there. That's good. Her flight muscles are developing very nicely, so we can write down in the notes that the keel is good. I'm going to check for those nasty lice and flies and mites. And they like to live in the wing pits. They live all over the bird, but they especially like the wing pits, so that's where I'm checking. And I see no bugs, so that's good. Her feet, I can see are good. There are no deformities. I'm going to do this disgusting check. And her vent is good. Her vent is good and clean. There are no parasites in there. And I don't really need the leg gauge.
Okay. All right.
You got her?
I got her.
Yeah, put your fingers around the wing so it'll help.
See, I'm trying to get that.
Yeah. Okay, I don't really need this, but I'm a scientist, so I like to be thorough, and she is size 7A. Okay? If there were any doubts, which there are not, that would tell us she's a female, and it would verify that she needs the larger band, the size 7A band.
Took a chunk out of me. Are you happy now? Are you? Are you happy?
So why do we band the birds? It's not just for fun. This is our most important tool. Here, you can get the band number off of this. It should be the next one in sequence after the last one. Okay. Is it the next one in sequence?
Yes. Free as a bird.
Very good. Okay. This is our most, by banding these birds, if these are seen later, then we will know, okay, that bird lived to whatever age we see it. We will be able to tell where it went. We'll be able to tell how long they live. If they have nests of their own and start raising children of their own, then we will know that because we identified it from the band. And there's blood on there, but it's not her blood. It's either my blood or Officer Bill's blood.
It's mine.
Okay? And that's fine.
This time it's mine.
That's perfectly okay. If it's the bird's blood, that's what we don't like. We are able to tell by identifying the birds. We're able to tell whether two that are nesting together are related or not. So all of these are things that we can tell by banding the birds and then by seeing them later on, and that we couldn't tell otherwise. And these are very important things for us to know to track the population as the population is recovering. As you heard earlier, Peregrine falcons were completely wiped out by DDT a number of years ago, so that by 1961, there were no peregrine falcons in North America east of the Rocky Mountains and south of the Arctic. They were completely gone. And the only reason we have peregrine falcons today is that after that happened and after DDT was banned, then peregrine falcons were raised in captivity from a few survivors and turned loose. And many agencies across North America contributed to that effort, and that included the Pennsylvania Game Commission. And that's the only reason that we have peregrine falcons in Pennsylvania or in elsewhere in eastern North America today, is because of that captive breeding and release reintroduction program. And these are the descendants of those birds. Now, this is a band that I put on the right leg. It has 9 digits on it. Can you read that band? Of course not. The only way you can read that band is by having the bird in your hands. And the only time that you're going to have this bird, anyone's going to have this bird in their hands after today, is if it's found injured or dead. Okay? Can you read this band? Yes, you can. Okay? So this one here is color-coded, and it has 4 very large characters. This one happens to be 2 numbers and 2 letters. So you can read that. And somebody who finds this bird nesting on a ledge or something, if they get a good look with binoculars or a good photograph, they can identify it on a free-living bird. So that's why I'm putting this second band on. And because of these bands, 1 in every 5 birds, 1 in every 5 peregrine falcons banded in Pennsylvania has been seen and identified later on. 1 in every 5. If any of you have experience with banding of songbirds, if you ever see 1 in every 1,000 of those again, you're doing well. That's the benefit of having this band, this color-coded band on the left leg. So that's why we're putting the second band on. And now, because even that band can sometimes be hard to read, I'm going to do a third thing. I'm going to put a strip of colored tape on the band on the right leg, and this one will be blue. The first one was red, the second one was white, and we're going to be patriotic. This one will be blue. And this is even easier to see than it is to read that color-coded band on the other leg. So that when these birds, oh, come on.
Attention, attention, attention. An emergency has been reported in this building. Please exit using the stairwells. Do not use the elevators. Attention, attention, attention. An emergency has been reported in this building.
I'm assuming this is just another fire drill. So I really appreciate everyone's patience with this.
And it has stopped. Good.
And it has stopped.
So when these birds start flying, and amazingly, these will start flying in about 2 weeks. When they start flying, then people watching these birds here can say, "Oh, red is flying." Even if you can't quite read the other one, you can say, "Oh, red is flying and she's doing well." And blue just flew, but blue got in trouble. And sad to say, there's a lot of trouble for birds like these that fledge in a city. Okay, so she's blue, and we're done with her?
Yeah, done.
Okay, so let's put her back in the box, and I'll finish the sentence. Okay. All birds faced a lot of hazards, especially in their first year. There are all kinds of natural hazards, but it's sad to say that these peregrine falcons in the city face additional hazards that those out on a cliff ledge, I'm sorry, Scott, don't face. They're very naive when they're young. Sometimes they get hit by cars, or they'll land somewhere where they're not safe and a car could run over them, or they fly into glass or something like that. So there's an organized group of fledge watchers, and some of them are here with us right now, who watch to see if any of these birds get in trouble, and then they rescue it and put it in a safe place. So they can say, red's flying just fine, but white's in trouble, and they run out and they stop traffic and pick it up and put it in a safe place. So for the fledge watchers as well, this little strip of tape will help them identify the bird. And I just put on a thin strip so that if anybody finds the bird later on and they don't know about bands, they can see that there are numbers under there. And there's a toll-free phone number to call, and there's a web address to call where they can report the number on that band so we know that that bird has been found.
Are you releasing these birds? Should we take them out?
Yes, we're going to take these birds upstairs and put them back on the ledge and put them back on with their parents so that they'll be happy and we won't hear the boop from them. And then we're doing question and answer now.
Now we're going to, Patrick Miller is going to be coming on.
Okay.
So, and Art will be staying with us for some questions and answers.
hold
So
that then, all right? I'm
our
gonna get rid of
next
my
up is Patrick Miller. He's an educator with Hershey Park Zoo America, and he's also a falconer. And our intern, Megan Greenplate, is going to assist him. So he also has with him Trinity and Comet, a male and female adult peregrine.
Just don't let go. And we'll stand in front then. Okay, so thank you very much, guys, for having me out here. Are you excited to see him? Yeah. A lot different than those other ones, right? Yeah. Certainly a lot quieter. Oh, he gets loud sometimes, but that's Comet, and this is Trinity. And so, do you remember how he told you that girls? Oh. But do you remember? Okay. I mean, do you guys not poop? No. Oh, come on. Everybody poops. But it's just whenever they poop, it goes straight down, and they poop and pee at the same time. You have to be careful with hawks, though, because when they poop, they launch it. They can projectile poop. Especially that first poop of the morning, they can shoot it 6 feet away. Could you imagine that? But anyway, though, back to those falcons, though, because now, remember how he was telling you that girls are always bigger than the boys are? Now you can see the difference between a female and a male peregrine. But what makes the peregrine falcon so amazing, such a unique species, is these guys are the fastest animals on the planet. Now, normally, whenever people think of the fastest animal, what's everybody always think of? Yeah, the cheetah, who can run across the ground going about 60 miles per hour. But where the peregrine is so special is they can actually fly well over 200 miles per hour. And the fastest one ever recorded was 242 miles per hour. Now, that's not that way. That's not horizontal, because even a pigeon can outfly a peregrine on a horizontal flight. But where they get their speed is actually out of a vertical dive. And so they go thousands of feet up in the air, and then they watch down below them. And once they find their prey, they fold in their wings, flatten out their feathers, and go into a straight vertical dive called a stoop. And that's whenever they hit those high speeds. And a peregrine, they use their nice, long, skinny toes. And then what's attached to those toes? Claws called talons, yeah. They have those razor-sharp talons. How sharp are they, Art?
You want to see?
Yeah, exactly. So wearing the glove is very, very important. I mean, it makes me look dashingly handsome on the camera. But then it also helps to protect my arm from those razor-sharp claws. But imagine, on her way down, she'll fan out those toes, and she'll slash on the way down. Or sometimes they can even ball up into a fist and punch that bird out of the air. And imagine if you get hit by this bird going 200 miles per hour. Yeah. If it doesn't outright kill you, it at least makes you fall to the ground. It might break a wing or the neck of that bird, and that gives her enough time to hit the brakes. And have you ever tried to stop going 200 miles per hour? No. Good. But if you tried to stop as fast as what she did, your brain would squish to the front of your head and come out of your nose. They can experience more force on their body than any other animal out there. They can experience upwards of about 28 times the force of gravity every time they hit their brakes. So that's one way that these guys are special. But then also, if you look, she has nice, long, pointed wings, a lot like the wings of a fighter jet. That's how these guys are able to go such high speeds, as they can make themselves very aerodynamic. So much so that whenever they're diving, they don't have any drag. They can split the air molecules on their way down. And now, if she were to be hunting for another bird, I mean, obviously, they do have to hunt other birds. Well, what kind of birds, though? A pigeon. I mean, they live all around here in the city, right? You can find pigeons everywhere. So peregrines, they like to eat pigeons. They eat flickers, cardinals, blue jays, sparrows, starlings as well. But they even have a nickname of the duck hawk. Do you know how they got that nickname? It's because it said that they could catch a duck. And believe me, a peregrine falcon can catch a duck. And it's all because of their high speeds hitting them out of the air. Now, another way that these guys are so special and so unique is really there's a lot of different types of peregrine falcons out there. And some of them hang out in the area. There are some peregrines that actually hang out in this general area all year round, whereas other peregrines, they migrate down from the northern climate. There are birds that come from up in Canada, and they migrate all the way down south to Mexico. And one peregrine, they recorded her with a band and a satellite transmitter, and they tracked her from New York to Florida, and she made that flight in 23 hours. 23 hours. And that's just constant flapping, flap, 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 the whole way. She made it in one nice long trip. But back to their speed, because really that's the biggest feature about this bird that makes her so special. Now, have you ever gone riding down the road going about 20 miles per hour and then you stick your head out the car window? Or even 60 miles per hour? Could you breathe all that well? No. And as weird as this sounds, at 200 miles per hour, you would drown in air. You couldn't breathe. And it's because it creates a vacuum. It makes it impossible for you to be able to breathe naturally. But she can do it, because if you look inside her nose, she has a little cone. Do you see it? It almost looks like a little bird booger. And that little cone helps to break up the air current. That's what allows her to breathe naturally. And people from studying peregrine falcons have been able to improve our lives. Because have you ever gone on an airplane? Yeah. Yeah. Well, airplanes today wouldn't be as good as what they are if it weren't for peregrine falcons. A jet engine couldn't go as fast as it can today if it weren't for the peregrine, because after a certain speed, they couldn't be able to run anymore. They couldn't get enough airflow into the engine. But they looked and they found the little cone. And so now, if you look at any jet engine, you'll see a cone right in the center of them. But what about a fighter jet? a jet built to go as fast as possible? Well, it's all because of those nice long pointed wings that they saw from the Peregrine Falcon. And then even some gliders, some planes that are built to just kind of glide and soar on the air currents, they have big wings. That's allowing them to be able to glide without having any engines. So all of those different adaptations that peregrines have help them to be able, or have been able to help us survive. Now, one final thing is imagine you are way up in the air, 5,000, 6,000 feet up, or even sometimes 10,000 feet in the air. Can you see stuff down below you? No, but the birds can. She can, because she can see about 6 or 7 times better than what you ever could. She could read a newspaper across the football field, or she can see just a little flutter of a bird flying all around. Now here in the city, it's a little easier. All they have to do is tiptoe up to the edge of a building, look over, and then they can kind of fall off and catch the birds that are down below them. There's that poop again. But they can see extremely well, and even some falcons are able to spot prey by their pee. Ew. Some falcons can follow the urine trails of little voles, of little rodents, because of the ultraviolet rays from the sun. So a bird's eyesight is phenomenal compared to ours. But, all right. Well, I think we're just about out of time with them. She's very bad. Can I make her fly? I can't make her fly. And it's just because we're inside, she wouldn't have all that much room to be able to fly around. She'd land in somebody's hair and make a nest, and it just wouldn't be a very fun time. No, she wouldn't. But a peregrine falcon, they need a large amount of space to be able to fly around. And they can't very quickly fly straight up. They have to go around and around and around to try to reach those very high altitudes. And especially on a windy day like today, that's going to help them out as well. But they need a big, wide open area to be able to hunt effectively.
So we can just start the question and answers now if you have questions for Patrick, questions for Art.
Yeah. Yes?
Is it hard to ban the birds?
Is it hard to ban the birds? Well, I haven't banned it as many as Art has, so I'm sure he could maybe elaborate a little better.
Well, as with anything, once you've done it for a while, it's actually pretty easy. It's actually pretty easy. It's important to find out the sex of the bird. Yeah, the question was, is it easy to ban? How hard is it to ban the birds? It's not very hard. I think the hardest part of it is making sure that you get the sexes right so that you put the right size band on. And these birds, as I mentioned, are just as big as their parents, so it's not too hard to tell the boys from the girls. When they're smaller than that, when they're not full grown, then it gets a little tricky to find out for certain whether it's a male or a female, so you put on the right size band.
Other questions?
Up top. Yep, you.
How many baby birds, peregrine falcons, do you think you've banned over the years that they've lived?
I guess that question is for me. The question was, how many baby peregrine falcons have you banded? I don't have the number at the tip of my tongue, but it's a couple hundred at least.
Yes.
Why don't the bands have a radio tracker?
Well, banding a bird with a radio tracker, eventually the battery would die off, but then you also need somebody there to receive the signal. Now, there are scientific studies out there where they are doing some sort of radio tracking. It's called telemetry, but then there's also GPS units, which is another fantastic way to figure out a bird's migratory track as they go on their southern migration, or even sometimes they go across the country as well. But it's also money. It's a lot cheaper to put a little metal band on a bird than it is to put a great big satellite transmitter. But he's done a lot more with that as well.
The money is really the chief reason for that. It costs a lot of money for the transmitter, and then it costs a lot of money for satellite time or GPS time, or rather GSM time rather, to track the bird. Actually, a few years ago, we did put transmitters on 4 young peregrine falcons. 2 of them were from the Rachel Carson building here, and 2 of them were from Pittsburgh. And these were solar powered, so the battery didn't go dead. They transmitted the data to a satellite, and then we talked to the satellite to get the data, but that was very expensive. We would love to do it on more birds, and if you have a really nice allowance so that you could support some of these, we would love to do it on some of these birds.
How about you down here?
When were the parent Peregrine Falcons born?
So the question was, when were the parent peregrine falcons born?
Okay, we know the answer to that because they were banded, and the female was born in 2009. The female that's nesting here today was born in 2009, and the male was born in 2003. So that means he's 12 years old now. Now, 12 years old is not terribly old for a human, but for a peregrine falcon, then 12 years old is a nice ripe old age. He's been here ever since he started nesting. But it's sad to say that sooner or later, and probably sooner, we won't have him anymore, and he'll be replaced by another male. Now, peregrine falcons mate for life, but not for life plus 5 minutes, okay? When he dies, then the female will stay here. She'll stay at the same place that she's nested successfully. She doesn't mess with success. And if another male comes overhead, instead of her or the male flying up and saying, "Get away, this is my turf," then she will fly up and say, "Hey, handsome, how about settling down with me?" Okay, so she mates for life, but if her mate dies, then she will remarry, as it were.
Okay,
So-
how about up here?
How can you tell if it's a girl or a boy?
The question was, how can you tell if it's a male or a female? Again, it all comes down to size. So Trinity, she weighed right around 900 grams. And Comet here, he only weighs about 640 grams. So in the bird of prey world, hawks, falcons, eagles, owls, the girls are always bigger than the boys are. And the reason behind it is because the females have to be big enough and strong enough to be able to protect the nest, whereas the male has to be light and maneuverable enough to go out and catch as much food as possible. He has to bring home the bacon, so to speak. Okay.
So we have time for a couple more questions. How about you? Do you have a question? So why are the boys so small and the girls so big?
Well, again, it comes down to what he has to do. If he was a great big female, he could catch a very large meal, but that's harder for him to do. So instead, he can catch a lot smaller meals because he is very, very maneuverable. So that way he's able to bring home as much food as possible. So even though one big meal would be fantastic, he can bring back 5 smaller meals and do just as good of a job.
Okay, how about the last question right here?
What would happen if the female died before the male?
Well, it would be the same thing that I just described in reverse. If the female died first, then the male would welcome any female that came by and say, "Hey, I'm available. I've got a wonderful territory here. There's lots of food. We've had success year after year after year, but now I'm single. Come and marry me, and we'll make beautiful music together." So it's the same thing either way.
Okay, great. So I'll just conclude the program. So I'd like to thank our partners with the program, DEP, DCNR, the Game Commission, State Museum, Commonwealth Media Services, Zoo America, our volunteers, and our caring DEP and DCNR staff. So the next activity, which may begin next week, for the Falcons will be fledging. And Falcon Watch and Rescue will begin around May 30th. So if you're here in the building, there is a sign-up sheet downstairs in our Environmental Education Center. Or if you're watching us through the live webcast, you can always email us through the Contact DEP link on the Falcon webpage. So this year we have our after-hours group coordinated by Sue Hannon, and we also have our daytime watch and rescue crew coordinated by our intern, Tad Alexander. So this concludes our 2015 Peregrine Falcon banding event. Thank you for your patience and for joining us this afternoon. Thank you.